to continue what I was saying last night, the thinking about social media and dialogue versus dialogue and social, the real world, virtual reality, and human natural reality. I don't know how you even term the differences. This is reality and this is virtual reality.
There is the typewritten word, typing a post.
In social media, there are different rules than there are
directly
in the real world as far as dialogue goes,
in particular,
as I said before.
Out of the 400
and so then I have to think about,
I wanted 3 people in particular.
What are those guidelines? What are those rules? What are the ways that social media
you can kind of, by the way, check this out.
Is
like
social? What way is social media social?
You can post images, videos.
How do we dialogue in social media?
Links to other pages,
so
articles.
That's like, okay, how does that work? What are the guidelines? What are the rules?
You can post all kinds
Is
of
there
things.
any kind of system? Is there kind of an understanding that
I was trying to think about
where did this come from?
The different ways that you could represent
so then
dialogue.
Then it struck me that there's a parallel
on a
here
basis
from that kind of perspective
and dialogue
and looking at social media dialogue and how it works
virtual dialogue
in the virtual world. And understanding
I guess it's kind of like this. When you're together with
the discussion that I've been having about whether this is art,
represents one person, this hand represents another, and maybe this represents
trying to for myself understand
in a group,
guidelines
in a room.
And
you're in a shared space. Let's say
what I think is art and what is not art, and
when you are together and in dialogue, you're like this.
Ideas on this,
or perhaps you're like
this.
Obviously, if I'm talking,
but there.
And then I realized that
this is the space.
I respond to what I'm saying. Right there.
And
you will share this discussion.
I mean, there's a physical contact.
I know
there's smell.
Every part of my existence, there's so much of who I am
beyond a two-dimensional.
Everyone that's
is my art. I am my art.
There's
art
sounds,
informs my way of living.
There's
and vice versa.
There's things that you'll pick up in atmosphere that you don't get in the virtual media.
When I get caught up in dialogue that is working, it's because I am
social
on
media, virtual
trajectory that
connection
is
dialogue.
about
It's like this is you,
my art
and this may be the other
means.
person.
That involves actually
or,
going specifically
the
to
410 friends that you're posting to
see how they're doing.
In my
so
you're here, they're here, and
of course that.
Where you're meeting is the
space. The main way to have someone actually
in between all of this.
These are
400 people in various.
This is an extension of who I am. Even more so with this whole idea of
directly
of mirroring yourself
and
this is learning to talk to yourself.
It's
amazing
endless.
that
It's everywhere. It's energy.
It's
I mean, certainly. On a one-to-one basis, you can feel the heat and all that kind of stuff, but you can't do that in virtual reality. It's different,
and
completely different.
Are completely different. I think I'll stop there for now.
The space in between is bigger, but it's also more full. It's full of.
I don't know what to say. I'm caught in this
tons of things.
Circle of emotions, going round and round and round. Frustration, anger.
I think this requires.
Not requires.
And it
makes me upset.
I think that social media is training us to connect in different ways, to communicate in different ways, to emote in different ways. I don't know how much it can change as human beings, but we're doing it rapidly right now.
And then I kick myself for not doing much about it. Rationalizing emotions is pointless. It's pointless.
Circle of emotions going around with
I'm angry, period. End of story. It doesn't matter.
Even if
I could spurt out all kinds of dialogue about it and talk my way into rationalizing not being angry. But that's not going to make it go away. It's bullshit. You cannot do it. You have to just express it. You just hope that someone can hear it without,
circling around and
I can understand their situation. I'm mad at those people for that, but I can understand the other side of it. I'm angry about this, but
there's not much you can do about it. I mean, it's just the way it is. I'm mad at myself. I can change that to a certain degree. Only as far as all those other things that I can't change. I sound like an Alcoholics Anonymous statement. Fuck this, fuck this.
Is not an exchange, and it's not a discussion.
I miss seeing you.
He says specifically discussion means batting it back and forth like a ping pong game. That has some value. But in dialogue, we try to go deeper to create a situation where we suspend our opinions and judgments in order to be able to listen to each other. So
I miss seeing your smile.
In a one-to-one basis, having a discussion, we need to.
The way you laugh.
I need to listen to you. I need to
the little things
not
you do.
judge what you're saying, or
the way you don't say much, and then
myself in the process to
then
be
you say
aware
a lot.
of my thinking when I'm listening. At the same time,
I miss your laugh.
I think that
I love when you laugh.
in the sense of social media,
I miss
I
your
think
laugh.
that dialogue is actually easier to attain.
I miss your
in a
laugh.
way, when it's described in this way. Social media allows you the ability to actually listen and form judgments and be able to be
I
present
miss seeing you from afar.
with what you're thinking, because
Even
your
when I'm closer.
sense of presence is a
I
longer
miss
period
seeing
of time.
beyond. what's
So
on the
in a
outside.
one-to-one dialogue, there's a
I miss
shared
seeing to a connection
time.
of
So
all kinds
seconds
of
go
experiences
by.
and memories.
Minutes go by, hours go by, if you're discussing for a long time or in dialogue with someone for a long
Mostly, I
time.
just miss seeing
But
you.
there is that shared time. And so there's also a shared
I love seeing you.
perception of response. And
Yes, yeah.
depending on how good you are at being self-aware, present in your thinking, your emotional state, and all the things that you bring to the table when you're discussing something or in
I'm in the
dialogue
light.
with someone.
I
It
can see
has,
the light.
you may or may not be able to
The light is so much stronger
do
than I
that
am. It
in
washes
that
out
shared
my
time.
image.
One of the things about
Fades
social
me.
media is that it allows you to have
This
that
dialogue is about
longer
weather.
period of time
It's also
for
about space.
self-awareness. So if I'm
I'm in the
listening
space.
to something or reading
In the
something or
light.
scanning something or seeing a video that was posted,
This
I
is
have
in
the
a-
space
this will
in
be
my
in a
time
space.
to reflect on it, to understand
internet,
how I feel about it,
on a social
and
media
where my
site.
thinking comes from.
It's its own space.
So my response may be actually more of a
Wonder,
dialogue
Is there sun
in
in
ways
social
that
media? Is there weather?
a one-to-one discussion
digress.
may not be, given
This is about
limitations.
space. This is contextual space. This is my reality. And I'm sharing it with you in your reality. A place where we can meet in the light. I
Well,
think it's
this
best
is
that I
a
don't
strange
look at myself
situation,
right now.
having to do a daily.
But I did want
videotaping
to
of
keep
myself,
doing this because I think it's
now that I
important
look like
to
this.
continue to do
But
dialogue.
and lying in bed last night,
There are certainly worse things. In
here's the
world.
thing. I realized that one of the
When am I
interesting things about
communicating?
those if I'm talking
Doing
about
this
one thing, but I look like
blind,
this.
Hey, out of the hospital.
Experiment.
Was
What I
uh,
realized as a visual artist now, day
trying to
4,
get back onto this, talking about
into this,
dialogue.
seems inside of it.
There's something that I did want to
how
say.
much that my senses were
But I
picking
guess
where I was.
because
My
all of the
literacy,
discussions I've had so
what
far,
I think I look like,
discovering
but
that
it
kind
does
of
not
interconnect.
matter.
The dialogue has been
Falling,
interconnect.
yeah. I mean, of course it mattered that
vision
it
matters.
matters that,
This question
I
about
know
what
that
art
at this
and
very
what
moment
what
I'm
sense are and what
looking
art is
like
for
I
me,
didn't
and
know
those kinds of
somebody.
things.
What I
have
was falling into.
been coming out of this.
it matters that when I walk through the street,
sense of space
wasn't
was
that.
interesting.
people reflect on
You know,
that.
it was
social
either
space,
by doing
social
double
media
take or
kind
staring,
of involved all
or
kinds of
looking away
light. There was
quickly.
no connect.
no defining.
And
People
I
are
just wanted to
really
share
nice,
this because
you know, in
all
the
I could see
stores.
was
After
looking
doing,
at
need
this,
extra help.
you get
two
until actually hit the pavement.
seasons
You get
putting
a
them together.
But here it is.
creating
So
a-
I'm dialoguing about
kind of a
just
condensed
kind of
film
look shocked
of what's been
My
happening
looks
and layering it.
kind of like
affect
realize that they're looking
how
like
I'm
that and then look
communicating.
away. Or, you
And
know,
going
even
through all
there,
the different
this is
things that I
yours,
have,
you
and
know, I'm sure
ironically
half of them
enough,
kind of going like, whoa, cool.
going
What
through
am I
this
saying?
kind of
Yeah.
revelation
There's
about
there's
space.
definitely, you know, like
anything that I would talk
there's a-
about beyond
and
just
split
injuries
divides
and
of
space.
neighborhoods
That's
and
what's
the kind of
empathy.
reaction.
I think
or
actually
question
and,
existed without definition.
kinds of people
In
that show
that
sympathy and
something
support
is
kinds of people
being
that
revealed.
are, you know, embarrassed or shy away.
Something is
That all
being
of our senses,
seen,
you know, in
communicated,
this neighborhood,
developed,
which is
give a
not
color,
the richest
created,
neighborhood in the world, it's quite
dimension.
mixed.
and
Um,
I can see it
the
as
people that are the most
interdisciplinary.
sympathetic tend to be
That
street
this
people.
project
Don't have that.
is both
beggars.
using social media, a study
They're
of
always
media,
smiling at me and
and
just, you know,
throughout
being
its
really nice to
process,
me.
it also
It's
is
just
a really
the variety
great
store people
example
that are
of
usually from other
the
parts of the world
effects
are usually
of
pretty
the
nice
mirror
too.
stage that we go through as far as ego
And then there's all the
balance
people
and
in between
identification.
that kind of stare and give you that feeling like they feel
So
sorry
that-
for you because
so that's
it's
it.
like a
I've
pity
decided.
look, and as if somehow they
Day
question
before
whether
I
you've
entered the
been beaten or
hospital
not.
to
I mean,
get
this
my
is
nose
very
broken
violent.
again,
It's-
to
you
fix
can
it,
see my pain
because it's broken
You
in
can
three
see that
places. I
they
say,
hit right on the face.
this is art,
And there's something
folks.
very vulnerable about
This
that.
is art. It's got
especially
the
as a
Kate
woman.
Hollett stamp of approval.
I think when you see a man being bruised up like this, you just assume he was in some
Probably
kind
won't
of
be doing
fight.
this for a few days.
Or as soon as
so.
you see a woman like this, I mean, a woman isn't going to get into a street fight and hit someone in the nose. I mean, it's much less likelier. So there's this idea that, well, either I fell or I was beaten by somebody. And usually that would be a man.
What I understand about dialogue,
So there's that.
after
And that's
my
tricky because,
experiences in the last couple of weeks,
you know, I can feel
is
it. I
that
can feel those different
dialogue
emotions. It's pretty intense. This is
very
often
often culturally
a small
based.
thing to walk by and kind of like not notice.
That there are
and
different
generally
ways
speaking,
of
Germans are
understanding
pretty, like,
something,
check you out.
different ways of
anyway,
doing
you know, they'll check
things.
you up and down a lot.
for
So
the German culture and
So
for,
I've
I guess,
actually
Canadian
made-
culture.
realize that I walk
And
taller
there's,
and more proud.
sometimes
I mean, quite often now I don't look
miscommunication
at people where
in
I
the way
used to
that
look
things
at
are
people all the time.
understood, what the
Engage
basis
in
of
some
that
way.
beginning
My
point
desire
is,
to connect with
and
people
what the
isn't
rules of
same
the
because I
dialogue
don't need
are
this
based
kind
on
of
our understanding
reaction
of
that I don't
our
want,
worlds.
this kind of pity, and I know it's not anything that can be discussed.
It's a
or
hard
talked
thing
about
to
in
bridge,
passing,
really,
and,
you know?
you know, I don't want
figure
them
out-
to feel bad.
be able
you
to
know, so
see
there's
the
all
way
this
someone
wrapped
else
up and just
sees
walking
and
down the street and going
understand
to the
their
subway or going
background
to the grocery
and
store.
There's so much to it. There's so much
Then I noticed
involved
today I
in
went
what's
to
being
Mitta,
said
which is really,
that comes from
you know,
all of
I went
that.
to one of the major department stores. In fact, it was the scene, one of the scene of the crime. I actually
it's day
was
3.
walking through these places
Do you know what that
blindfolded the other day when this happened, and I was sitting there having something to eat. It was kind of like this treat. I thought, well, I'd go get something really yummy to eat at the downtown. And I realized sitting there that I didn't get the same reaction.
through all of this.
I didn't feel the same kind of things as people walked by me. And I realized it's because most people in that neighborhood would assume that looking
Trying
like
to make
this, I
sense of
probably
things.
just had a nose job. Big difference. But, you know, it also, you know, in a small way, and I wouldn't profess to understand what anyone else would feel in any other situation, but in a small way, I realized how much you had to be
Something's off.
within yourself
Something's
not
not
to,
right.
you know, in order to have those
I'm on the wrong
reactions
path.
and emotions that are coming and passing by you, just bounce off and not care about it. You know, I guess, you know, we want to be liked and
Something's
and,
off.
You know, I make a point of interacting with people in a positive way, so to take this kind of backseat or almost shamed position
Sorry,
or
right.
overly proud to make up for it.
Like you said,
It made me question
At least the
what it would
weather's
be
been
like
good.
to have this on an ongoing basis for
Positives.
another reason. Let's say because of the color of my skin, or my height, or my weight, or my religion, or my dress code. Let's say I was wearing clothing. I don't know. What would that be like on an ongoing basis? I mean, how would that affect you? You'd have to be pretty damn strong inside of yourself not to let it get to you. Anyway, that's a big, long dialogue about all of this because, of course, it's affecting me, and I'm thinking about how it affects me and what I can learn from it.
CBC Radio 2
what am I
Morning
supposed to
with
do with all
Molly
these
Johnson.
emotions? I can understand complex ideas, but I have trouble communicating those ideas to someone else. That's what art's for. That's what I use art for. That's what I use visual art for. I can see them in my head. I can understand them in pictures and imagery and sensory experiences. But putting them into language that is understandable by many, is very difficult. I mean, how can we even do this? We each have a different way of understanding something. I think actually where we meet in dialogue, in that place, there are no words.